So there's this story about a guy whose wife said 3 words to him one Tuesday night in their kitchen. Don't touch me. No fight before it, no argument leading up to it, nothing. Just 3 words, room temperature, like she'd been practicing them in her head for weeks. And instead of getting angry or begging or doing the whole, what did I do wrong thing, he just complied. Completely. Moved to the couch, pulled out a notebook, and started documenting every single day that followed. She thought she had the upper hand. She didn't know he was 3 weeks ahead of her the whole time. Let's get into it. She said don't touch me, so I never did again, and now she is fuming. I've been sitting on this for a few months now, trying to figure out if it's even worth posting. But people keep asking what happened, so here it is. I'm 41, civil engineer for a county government office, roads, drainage systems, erosion control. Not glamorous, but I'm good at it, and it pays steady. My name's Owen. I've been married to Nina for 13 years. We have a son named Finn who just turned 9 and thinks everything about erosion is the coolest thing he's ever heard. He's right, for the record. We met at a county planning meeting downtown about 14 years ago. Nina was coordinating community projects for a nonprofit at the time. Organized, sharp, the kind of woman who remembered everyone's name after one introduction and made you feel like the most interesting person in the room. She had this way of listening to you that made you feel like whatever you were saying actually mattered, even if it was just you rambling about storm drainage permits. I thought she was way out of my league. Somehow she didn't see it that way. We got married that fall. Finn came 3 years later. For a long stretch, life was exactly what we'd built it to be. Saturdays at the park with Finn on my shoulders. Sunday dinners where Nina would put on some playlist and pretend she could dance. I'd pretend right back. We'd drive to Clover Lake on warm weekends and just sit by the water while Finn threw rocks until his arm got tired. There were years in there that were genuinely solid, the kind where you don't appreciate them until later, because you assume there's always going to be more of them. The shift started maybe 6 months before any of this went sideways. Hard to pinpoint exactly when because it crept in gradual, the way erosion actually works. Not a sudden collapse, but slow, consistent wear that you only notice once something gives. Dinner got quieter. Not tense, just empty. Nina on her phone more, scrolling, occasionally looking up with a smile that stopped below her eyes. I'd ask about her day. Fine. Movie tonight? Tired? Long weekend coming up? Want to do anything? Maybe. Each one of those one-word answers was a door shutting, and I kept walking past them telling myself it was just stress or a phase or both. One Saturday morning, I heard her on the phone with her college friend Donna. Donna's been divorced twice and talks about men the way people talk about appliances that stopped working mid-cycle. Functional once, frustrating now, probably not worth repairing. They'd been close since college, and I'd always kept my distance from whatever Donna was selling. I was in the hallway with my coffee when I heard Nina laugh and say, I know. It's like living with furniture that expects a thank you. She was talking about me. I stood in that hallway until my coffee went cold. That night I almost said something. I had a whole sentence ready. But I looked at Nina across the table, and she was already somewhere else, half smiling at her screen, and I told myself maybe I was reading too much into it. 6 months of rough patch, and I kept trying in the small, quiet ways I knew how. I fixed the kitchen faucet she'd been complaining about for 2 months. Booked a dinner reservation at the Italian place downtown she'd mentioned once. She canceled with a headache. Rescheduled it. She spent most of that dinner on her phone. I told myself maybe she was stressed about work. I'm pretty good at telling myself things when I don't want to hear the alternative. Then it was a Tuesday night in March. I was at the kitchen sink drying the last plate from dinner. Finn was upstairs humming something from a video game, feet dangling off his bed. Normal evening, garlic bread smell still in the air, nothing unusual about any of it. Nina walked past me toward the fridge. I put my hand on her shoulder, not grabbing, not pulling, just the way I'd done probably 10,000 times before over 13 years. She stopped, looked at my hand like it was something stuck to the bottom of her shoe. Don't touch me. 3 words. Not whispered, not said in anger, said at room temperature with the kind of precision that tells you someone's been holding that sentence in their mouth for a while. My hand dropped. My chest went hollow. Not tight. Hollow. like something opened a valve and everything drained out at once. Okay. I walked to the hallway closet, grabbed the old quilt, carried it to the living room couch, and lay down. I stared at the ceiling for about 45 minutes. I could hear Nina's footsteps upstairs, the bathroom faucet running, then nothing. I wasn't making a point. I wasn't trying to punish her or execute some strategy I'd read somewhere. I just didn't have anywhere inside me left to go to her. She said, "Don't touch me," and my body listened before my brain even caught up. Hold on. For anyone listening, this is your host jumping in real quick. Because I need you to sit with what just happened. He didn't yell, didn't slam a door, didn't do that thing guys do where they sulk in the garage for 40 minutes, then come back pretending nothing happened. He heard, "Don't touch me," said okay, and went to the couch. That's it. Nina expected him to beg, expected flowers and a speech and him trying harder. And instead, she got a man who just took her at her word. Which is genuinely the most terrifying thing you can do to someone who didn't actually mean what they said. Buckle up. Wednesday morning. Up before everyone else, made coffee, packed Finn's lunch, turkey sandwich, apple slices, that little note I always slip in. Been doing that since first grade, it just became the routine. Left for work without saying good morning to Nina. I didn't think about it. I just didn't. That night at dinner, I talked to Finn about his science project. Erosion, how rivers carve canyons over time. His eyes lit up, explaining the whole process like he'd invented it. Nina watched me from across the table. "You're quiet tonight," she said. "Long day," I told her. She went back to her phone. By Thursday, I'd started carrying a small notebook in my jacket pocket. Not because of a plan, because of something my friend Wade Foxworth had told me maybe 2 years earlier at a diner over coffee. If things ever go sideways, Owen, write it down. Dates, times, what was said. You think you'll remember. You won't. And a courtroom doesn't care what you felt. It cares what you can prove. I'd forgotten that advice completely until this week. I pulled the notebook out at lunch and wrote, Tuesday, March 4th, kitchen, 7:45 p.m. N stated, "Don't touch me. No argument proceeding. No provocation." Wednesday, March 5th. No conversation initiated by N. No inquiry about sleeping arrangement. Couch night 2. It felt clinical. Good. Clinical was something I could hold on to. Friday evening, Finn was at a friend's house for a sleepover. Nina stood in the kitchen doorway while I was reading on the couch. "Are you coming to bed?" "I'm good here." 5 seconds of silence. I could feel her trying to calculate what had changed and why it wasn't correcting itself. "Whatever," she said, and turned and walked away. I wrote it down. Saturday, she made blueberry pancakes. My favorite, ones she hadn't made in probably 2 years. Set a plate in front of me with a careful smile. I said thanks, ate them, washed my plate, and went to mow the lawn. I wasn't punishing her. I wasn't running some revenge arc from a podcast. She wanted distance, and I gave her every inch of it. But to Nina, it was supposed to be temporary, like snapping at a dog that jumps on people. She expected me to flinch, apologize, come back with something. The old version of me would have been halfway through an apology before she even finished the sentence. This version just mowed the lawn. Sunday night, 1 week exactly. Nina came into the living room at 10. I was on the couch with the notebook and a glass of water. "Why are you sleeping out here?" I looked up. "You told me not to touch you." This seemed like the clearest way to respect that. I didn't mean... She had the look of someone who started a sentence and had no idea where it was going. For maybe the first time in our 13-year marriage, Nina Yates had no words ready. Her mouth opened, closed. She went upstairs without another sound. I wrote it down. Sunday, March 10th, 10:15 p.m. N asked about sleeping arrangement. I referenced her statement of March 4th. N did not dispute. Returned upstairs without resolution. Monday morning, I called Wade from the parking lot at work. "How bad?" he asked. "I don't know yet, but I want to know where I stand." Wade gave me a name, Frank Hamill, family law attorney downtown. "Not flashy," Wade said. "Doesn't put his face on bus benches. But he's the one you want when things need to be properly documented." I called that afternoon. Frank could see me Thursday. Tuesday evening. Nina tried something new. She came home with food from that Thai place on Henson Street we used to love. Set it all out on the table with candles, the good plates, the whole production. I sat down, ate, told her it was good, helped clean up. She touched my arm as I passed her at the sink. I didn't flinch, didn't pull away. I just kept moving like her hand was weather passing through. Her eyes tracked me to the couch. Owen, are we okay? I don't know, Nina. Are we? She didn't answer. I wrote it down. Pause. That's me again, not Owen. I want to name what Nina is running here because it's textbook. Cold shoulder, no reaction from him, then pancakes and candles and a hand on the arm at the sink. She's cycling between cold and warm, trying to get a rise out of him. And he's not biting. Not because he's playing games, but because the tank is genuinely empty. There's a difference between pulling away to get a reaction and pulling away because there's nothing left to pull from. She's trying to fill a tank that isn't even in the garage anymore. And the worst part for her? He's writing down every single move. Keep going. Thursday, March 14th. Frank Hamill's office. Wood paneling that probably hadn't been updated since the late 80s. Coffee on the burner since morning. Frank was maybe 60. Wire-rimmed glasses, patient eyes. The kind of man who listens like he's getting paid by the silence rather than the words. I showed him the notebook. He read for 3 full minutes without saying anything, then looked up. You're an engineer. Yeah. I can tell. He set the notebook down. Kansas is no fault. But pattern of behavior matters, especially in custody and property division. If she initiated the rejection of the marital relationship and you simply complied, that's not abandonment on your part. That's compliance with her stated wishes. I asked what happened if she told a different version of events to people. Frank took off his glasses and cleaned them slowly. That's exactly why you keep writing. I left his office with a retainer agreement and a weight in my stomach. Not about the money, about the fact that this was real now. I was building a record of my own marriage falling apart, one dated entry at a time. The drive home felt longer than it ever had before. The week after the attorney visit was the strangest one yet. I'd go to work, review drainage specs, answer emails, eat lunch at my desk, drive home, talk to Finn about whatever he was working on in school, lie down on the couch. Repeat. I wasn't waiting for anything. I wasn't plotting. I was just existing in the space I'd been given and writing down what happened in it. At one point, Nina walked past me in the kitchen while I was writing in the notebook and paused. What is that anyway? Just a journal, I told her. She watched me for a second, then kept walking. I wrote that down too. The following Saturday, Wade called me with a careful voice. His wife Megan had run into Donna at a social gathering on Kansas Avenue, and Donna was out there telling people that I'd gone cold. That Nina had been reaching out and I kept shutting her down. That I'd moved to the couch and refused to come back. I sat in my truck in the driveway. Engine off, hands on the steering wheel. 10 minutes. I didn't move. She told me not to touch her. And now she was telling people that I'm the one who pulled away. I opened the notebook. Saturday, March 16th. Per Foxworth via his wife. D. Marsden telling mutual acquaintances that I initiated the physical and emotional withdrawal. Narrative directly contradicts documented events of March 4th. The anger, when it came, didn't come loud. It came cold and quiet, like ice forming on a pipe you can't see until the pressure builds. Wait. For the listeners out there, that's me jumping in again. Because I need a second here. Donna, who's collected 2 divorce settlements and apparently considers herself a tactical advisor, is out there at social gatherings spinning a narrative that he walked away? That's not gossip. That's groundwork for a legal argument. She's building the story before the papers even get filed. And Owen is sitting in his truck in the driveway, holding a notebook with 18 days of documented receipts. That's not a guy running from the situation. That's a guy who read the Fire Festival pitch deck and already bought flight insurance. Let's keep going. The next 2 weeks, I watched Nina's cycle run, and I wrote down every single turn. Monday, sweet. Coffee waiting on the counter with a note. Have a great day. Tiny heart drawn in blue pen. I said thanks. Left for work. Tuesday, she texted me at lunch. Thinking about you. Hope your day's going well. I wrote back. Thanks. One word. Same energy she'd given me that Tuesday night in March. Wednesday, she reached for my hand during Finn's school concert. I let her take it. Didn't squeeze back. Her fingers tightened, then dropped. Afterward in the parking lot, she said he played so well. I said he did. She waited for more. There wasn't more. Thursday, 22 straight hours without a single word directed at me. Not one. I counted because that's what I do now. I wrote it down. Friday, she told Finn, bedroom door open, loud enough for me to hear from the couch. Daddy's choosing to sleep downstairs, sweetheart. I don't know why either. My jaw tightened. I wrote it down with the exact time. Saturday morning. Explosion. You're being so childish. Sleeping on a couch like some teenager who got his feelings hurt. You told me not to touch you. That was one time, Owen. Once. Once was enough. So this is punishment? Making me feel invisible? I'm doing exactly what you asked. If that feels like punishment, that's something worth looking at. She slammed a cabinet door hard enough to rattle every glass on the shelf, then a drawer. Then she stood in the middle of the kitchen with her arms crossed, waiting for me to react. I picked up the notebook from the counter, sat down at the kitchen table, and wrote it all down while she watched. Date, time, every word she said. Verbatim. She left the room without saying anything else. Saturday night, she came downstairs at 11 and stood at the edge of the living room in the dark. We both knew I was awake. I can't sleep, she said. I'm sorry to hear that. Please just come upstairs. I can't, Nina. She stood there for almost a full minute, then went back up. I heard her crying through the ceiling. Quiet, steady, the kind that sounds real. Maybe it was, but I didn't know anymore which version of her I was hearing, and that was the part that kept me on the couch. Sunday morning, I made breakfast for Finn. Eggs, toast, the whole thing. Nina came downstairs and I made her a plate too without saying anything. She sat down, ate, said thank you in a quiet voice. I nodded. That was it. 15 minutes at the same table without a word. And somehow it was the least uncomfortable morning we'd had in 3 weeks. Finn ate his eggs and told us both about a documentary he'd watched about underwater volcanoes. We both listened. It was fine, actually. Just fine. Sunday afternoon, family drive to Clover Lake. Finn threw rocks in the water. Nina stood close to me, not touching but testing the distance. I didn't move toward her or away. You used to hold my hand here, she said quietly. I didn't say anything back. We both watched Finn skip a stone across the surface. 3 times, maybe. Wait, no, 2. Whatever, doesn't matter. That evening I was carrying groceries in through the side door when I heard Nina's voice from the garage. Low, urgent. She was on the phone with Donna. He's not reacting to anything, Donna. I tried the candles. I tried the Thai food. I even cried in front of him. Nothing. He just writes in that notebook. I stopped. Stood completely still, bags in each hand. What notebook? I don't know what's in it. He carries it everywhere. I put the groceries down quietly, walked back out to the car, came in through the front door, loud enough for her to hear. Then I sat down on the couch and wrote down every word I'd just overheard. Time-stamped. Verbatim. Monday night, Finn found me on the couch. He sat down on the floor next to me with his cereal bowl. That had become his new routine, apparently. Dad, did you and Mom have a fight? No, buddy. Adults just need space sometimes. He looked at me with those eyes 9-year-olds aren't supposed to have yet. She was crying in the car today when she picked me up from school. She didn't think I noticed. My chest cracked, just a hairline fracture. I didn't let it show. Sometimes grown-ups have hard days. He thought about this for a moment. The couch isn't good for your back, though. It's not that bad. I could bring you my dinosaur pillow. It's really soft. I pulled him in and held on for a long time. He didn't seem to mind at all. Stop right there. The dinosaur pillow just cracked me, and I refuse to be alone in that. Kid's 9, noticed his mom crying in the car, offers his best pillow to his dad on the couch. This boy has more emotional intelligence than both adults in the house combined. But here's what I need you to notice. Owen shows up for Finn every single day through all of this. The lunch note, the erosion project conversation, the school concert. Whatever is falling apart with the marriage, this man did not check out on his kid. Not once. Hold that detail. It matters a lot for how this ends. The following Thursday, Wade told me something that rewrote every scene I'd been living through for the past month. We were at a diner. He set his coffee down and lowered his voice. I wasn't sure I should say this. Pause. Megan was at Donna's book club last week, and Donna was walking Nina through something. Step by step. Push him out emotionally. Make him leave the bedroom. Once he's been out long enough, You file and claim constructive abandonment. His abandonment. You get the house, favorable custody position, the whole thing. The diner noise disappeared. Just my pulse and the coffee cooling in my cup. She's been coaching her. Every scene from the past month rearranged itself right there at the table. The rejection on March 4th wasn't spontaneous. It was a starting pistol. The confusion about the couch wasn't real confusion. The narrative she'd been spreading to friends wasn't careless gossip. It was a sequence. Donna Marsden drew the blueprint and Nina had been following the steps. The Thai food, the pancakes, the hand at the sink, the crying through the ceiling. Every one of those things was a move in a game she'd been coached to play. The kitchen moments I'd been reading as maybe genuine, scripted, the March 22nd emotional breakdown, a checkpoint, not a crack. I thought about that Sunday morning with the eggs. How quiet it was. How it had felt almost normal. I'd been sitting there thinking maybe things were just slowly resetting on their own. And now I was wondering if that had been a move too. If Donna had suggested that one as well. Act calm. Let him see a version of normal. Make him wonder if he's overreacting. I couldn't know for sure. That's the thing about finding out someone's been running a play. Suddenly you don't know which moments were real and which were theater, and the two versions start to blur together until you can't trust your own read of anything. The notebook in my jacket wasn't paranoia. It was the only honest thing left in the house. I drove home and called Frank from the back porch. I know what's happening now, I said. I walked him through all of it. Frank was quiet for 10 seconds. Is Wade willing to sign a statement? I'll ask him tonight. Do that, and don't stop writing. Every entry she can't dispute is another brick in your foundation. I called Wade back. He didn't even hesitate. I'll write it out tonight. Megan was standing right there when Donna said it. She'll sign too. I hung up and sat on the porch step a while. Stars out, cold and bright over the yard. Through the kitchen window, I could see Nina clearing the dinner dishes, looking completely normal. Looking like a woman just washing plates. And I realized, the woman I'd overheard in the garage reporting to Donna, that nothing was working, that I wasn't reacting. She wasn't confused or frustrated. She was checking in with her coach, running the play and asking why the results weren't matching the projection. Next day, I went back to Frank with the garage call notes. He read them twice. She's documenting your withdrawal for her case, he said, and you're documenting her orchestration of that withdrawal for yours. He looked up. The difference is yours has dates. Hers has Donna Marsden. Friday night, March 22nd. I walked in the door and Nina was sitting at the kitchen table. No candles, no takeout. Just her hands flat on the surface in front of her, looking smaller than I'd ever seen her look. I miss you, she said. The way her voice cracked on the second word, the way her eyes were already wet before she finished the sentence. That didn't sound like Donna's playbook. That sounded like Nina, the real one. The woman who cried before we'd even said our vows. Who held Finn for 3 hours straight when he had a fever at 4 months old. Who used to fall asleep with her head on my chest and her hand over my heart like she was making sure it was still there. I miss you too, I said. And I meant it. That's the part that still gets me. Every word of that was real. She stood up, crossed the kitchen, put her forehead against my chest. I could feel her breathing, the trembling in her shoulders. For 10 full seconds we were back, both of us in our own kitchen, 3 weeks of silence dissolving like it never happened. I almost put my arms around her. Almost. Then her phone buzzed on the table. She pulled back just slightly to glance at it. Text from Donna. 3 words on the preview. Is he buying it? She flipped the phone face down. But I'd already read it. The kitchen didn't change. Same light, same leftover garlic bread smell, same tile under my feet. But something behind my ribs turned to concrete in about 2 seconds flat. I need some air, I said. Walked out the back door, sat on the porch step. March night in Topeka, cold enough to see my breath in the dark. I pulled out the notebook, hands steady. That surprised me. Friday, March 22nd, 8:40 p.m. N expressed emotional vulnerability. Physical contact initiated by N. At 8:43 p.m., text received from D. Marsden. Is he buying it? N attempted to conceal message. Entire interaction appears coordinated. I sat out there until my fingers went numb. Then I went inside, lay down on the couch, and stared at the ceiling until morning. Tuesday, April 1st. Exactly 4 weeks since the kitchen. I came home from Frank Hamill's office with a manila folder. Inside, 28 days of dated entries in my handwriting. Wade's signed statement about what Megan overheard at the book club. A timeline Frank had assembled showing the full pattern. Rejection, narrative reversal, coached reconciliation attempts. The text. Every piece dated, every piece factual. Finn was at Wade's house for the evening. I'd arranged that at lunch. Nina was starting dinner. I set the folder on the kitchen table. "What's that?" she asked. "Sit down, Nina." She sat. I walked her through the whole thing. Not angry, no raised voice. The same tone I'd used presenting drainage findings at a county planning review. Clear, measured, documented. March 4th, what she said. March 10th, what she asked. March 16th, what Donna told people. March 22nd, the text. Her face moved through 4 expressions in under a minute. Confusion, recognition, fear, then something I'd never seen on Nina before. Raw, unfiltered panic. "Owen, Donna was just trying to help me feel like I had some control over what was happening. She coached you through a manufactured abandonment claim. Push me out of the bedroom, rewrite the story for our friends, build a file for court where I'm the one who left. I didn't want a divorce. Then what did you want?" Silence. Long enough that I could hear the kitchen faucet dripping. "I wanted you to fight for me." Almost a whisper. "You were supposed to get angry, push back, show me you still cared enough to not just say, 'Okay, don't touch me' was supposed to be a test. You were supposed to fail it and come back anyway." There it was, the real thing underneath all the coaching and the performances and the hot and cold cycles. The belief that love means he fights even when you push, that his persistence proves devotion, that "don't touch me" has exactly one right answer, and it isn't compliance. That's not how I love, Nina. I love by listening. You said "don't touch me." I listened. I didn't mean forever. You didn't say temporarily. You said it like it was final. And then you spent 4 weeks telling people I was the one who walked away. She broke. Not the careful tears from the night of the text. Real ones, from somewhere deep, messy with sound. Her shoulders folded inward, her hands pressed into her face. Donna said if I didn't take control, I'd end up like her, alone with nothing. Her voice came out rough and small. I was scared. I'd been scared for months, and instead of just saying that to you, I let her convince me there was a smarter play, that I could control how this went. She looked up, mascara streaked, eyes red, afraid in a way she hadn't been afraid before. And instead, I built exactly what she has, twice over, a folder full of documented lies and an empty kitchen table. The silence that followed had weight, the kind you feel behind your sternum. Can we fix this? I don't know, but this folder goes to my attorney tomorrow regardless, because I don't let anyone rewrite my story, not even you. She nodded slowly, like she understood that. Like some part of her had known it was coming since she flipped the phone over and saw my face. Final update. Frank filed the petition the next morning. The hearing was quiet. He presented the notebook, 28 days, every entry in my handwriting. Wade's signed statement, the timeline. Nina's attorney tried to argue emotional distress on her behalf. The judge read the March 22nd text, set the folder down, and looked at Nina for a long time without saying a word. Primary custody went to me. Weekends and Wednesdays for Nina. The house stayed with Finn, which meant it stayed with me. 28 days of entries in a pocket notebook. That's what it came down to. 3 months later, June in Topeka. I'm on the back porch. Finn's running through the sprinkler, laughing the way only 9-year-olds laugh. Like the whole world is just water and sunlight and absolutely nothing else matters. Nina picks him up on Fridays now. She's different, quieter. She stopped seeing Donna, or Donna stopped calling. I genuinely don't know which, and I don't ask. A few weeks after the hearing, Finn found the notebook on the kitchen counter. He picked it up, looked at the cover. "Dad, what's this?" "Just something I used to keep track of things, buddy." He flipped it open to a random page, squinted at the handwriting like he was trying to decode it. "It looks like work stuff." "Yeah, kind of like that." He set it down and went back to his cereal. I put the notebook in the kitchen drawer and haven't opened it since. Don't really need to anymore. Last Friday, Nina stood at the front door waiting for Finn to grab his overnight bag. She looked at me for a second. "I'm sorry," she said. "Not about the lawyers or the house, about that Tuesday. For saying 'don't touch me' when what I really meant was I didn't know how to let you in anymore. I think I hadn't known how in a long time. I nodded. I didn't tell her it was okay. It wasn't. But I heard her. Finn thundered down the stairs, backpack bouncing, hugged me hard. Bye, Dad. I'll bring the dinosaur pillow back Sunday. Okay, buddy. I watched them pull out of the driveway, poured a glass of water. Stood at the kitchen window for a minute, just looking at the backyard, the sprinkler still going, the porch step where I'd sat so many cold nights with the notebook on my knee. Then I went out and sat on that step again. She said, "Don't touch me." So I didn't. Didn't touch the marriage either. And it turned out those two things, the hand on the shoulder and the whole 13 years behind it, were always the same thing. Look, I'm not going to pretend Owen's some saint who did everything right in this marriage. But when the woman you've loved for 13 years says, "Don't touch me," and then spends a month building a legal case out of the fact that you listened, your only move is the notebook. Not a screaming match, not begging, not a big tearful speech, just dates, times, and the truth on paper. Courts don't care about feelings. They care about what's documented. He understood that before he ever talked to a lawyer. Drop your thoughts in the comments. What would you have done that first Tuesday night on the couch? And if you're not subscribed yet, hit the button. Next story's already loaded.